Hello everyone, welcome back to the NLC. We're moving swiftly towards our first game of the day. Nordavind Singularity going head-to-head in this first playoff lower bracket game. Orcs, tension couldn't be higher.
Yeah, pretty big deal, especially because we're opening with the lower bracket where you lose out. And I think it's just so insane how there's been so much tension in the season. And Sharp even said how there was some relief they made it to playoffs. It doesn't stop. You're in playoffs, you could instantly drop back out again. You don't really have any time to kind of breathe.
Yeah, it's terrifying. And yeah, like you say, lower bracket, last chance saloon. There's no way. It's a three-man. You can't even mess up in one game. You've really just got to bring your A game. You got to hope today's your day. Starting things off swinging with two support bans. Obviously, support's an OP role. Support diff is jungle diff, and jungle diff is team diff. So yeah, gonna take away Thresh and Leona to start off with.
And the Kindred there's the jungle diff.
Yeah, I think we see the Kindred ban away because Naughty's been playing a lot of this recently. Really favors the champion, very comfortable on it. It also makes it difficult if you want to play a heavy dive composition, or even some picks that Kerberos looks to play. Even things like the Nasus would have a lot of difficulty team fighting ever against the Kindred. So I think makes a lot of sense in that regard. Started thin out the mid pool, and Jace is something we've seen Fury lean on quite heavily. You can actually see Jace Varus as a really strong duo they could secure. So glad to see that one banned away.
Ooh, and it's going to be the Viego picked up. All right, so this is a good champion for so many different lanes. Both top laners, junglers can pick this up. I actually also think this is a decent takeaway from Nolty. Personally, I think Nolty is a really good jungler. I think he's a great jungler, but the more selfish you can make him play, the better. That's the impression I get of him, and I think Viego can be a very selfish pick. It's going to be answered here potentially by that Lee Sin, who's risen so much in priority as a jungler, and I don't think we've seen Nolty pilot. Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong. I don't believe
we have, no.
But it's a high school champion, and Nolty is one of the highest skill junglers we have in the NLC, so it's going to be cool to see him pop up on that.
Yeah, and we are on 11-15 on this, so there was some nerfs to Viego's laning. So it kind of puts less emphasis on putting him in the lanes. He's still definitely playable there. It's just his sustain has dropped a bit, and his minion pushing ability on his Q. So we'll see where they end up with that. I like the Varus coming out for Dragdar. We've seen a lot of more on-hit Varus recently. The champion pick's still strong, but it's not always been poke. They have that flexibility in the pick. And actually just a very quick Callista picked up by Chrisberg. So we'll see what they pair that up with. I feel like maybe saving the support pick to later might be favorable, just so you get a good support matchup, because I think that's really important when playing the Callista. And we'll actually see the Syndra. This got buffed on the current patch. Reduced mana cost on the Q level 1. It's down from 60 to 40. So a lot more early pressure and priority. And for me, it's what a Singularity going to pick to ensure that they have mid priority?
Great question. We're going to have to see if they decide to go for that in this one, or if they want to pick up a support, because as you say, they could look to leave it, but that means it could be pinched away even further by both of these teams. But it's going to be the Braum locked in, so there it is.
That is the risk of not picking support on that third pick then. So going for the Syndra, you've already got 2 support picks taken away in the ban. If you then pick your support, as Singularity has done, you can really focus that down and make it a little bit more difficult for that Callista lane to operate, and we'll see what direction they decide to go in the rest of the pick ban.
I feel like for me, I'm not a big fan of Braum blind in general, but when there's a Callista, you know they're going to play a more aggressive support, typically one that has engage potential, which Braum's fine with. They're not really going to play an Enchanter. I would like to see Rakan banned away, though. I think Rakan has a really good matchup in the Braum, and a lot of bot lanes will pair those two together because of that engage potential, and then the re-engage the ult. So I think Singularity, they ban the Wukong away from Kerberos, ban Rakan as the second for sure.
So who do you think they'll maybe take instead? Because I'm thinking, those kind of engage heavy supports have kind of been pinched pretty hard already. I can think of the Alistair as an option as well. What do you think that might, if this Rakan does get taken away?
I think they could take Alistair or Nautilus. They're fine engage champs. The matchup in the Braum's a bit rough. They could also go for something like the Taric, which has also been buffed in this patch in terms of mana costs, and works really well with the Callista. It really just depends what they want, but you can't limit it because you don't really want to take a ranged champion with the Callista. You just don't very often see that, and Braum tends to be punished by those. They're not actually going to ban the Rakan, so 100% I think Nordavind should end up taking the Rakan here, unless Touch wants to go for Alistar and more comfort. But they've heavily targeted Kerberos. Nordavind are trying to target those mid laners and contest priority. Zoe's gone. You could potentially look in a range of areas for this second one.
I mean, it looks like Curb's going to have... It's actually Dr. Mundo being banned by Nordavind. Don't want to be facing that one in the top side. Bit of a strange one, but Nasus is open. So Sharp will be really, really chuffed that they easy win, go on to game 2. We'll have to see where Singularity want to take their counter pick. Just kind of maybe give us an idea of where this Lee Sin's going, because it could go jungle, could go into a lane, and what they want to be revealing. Of course, Ziggs, a champion that has been very prevalent for a long, long time, completely ignored up until now.
Yeah, that gives you... All right, so there's Fury on his Ziggs in mid. That should be able to give you some priority as well. You can stay far away from the Syndra. Hopefully, you don't get comboed by the Syndra, because if that happens, then you could be in a little bit of a pickle. But the idea is you can just wave clear and won't have to worry too much about that. And really just nullifies what's going on in that mid side. So I would like to see maybe more of like an aggressive pick in the top side of the map. There it is, genuinely locking in the Nasus. Sharp said in the interview, please don't ban Nasus. I didn't think they were going to actually do it, but they've done it. They've taken him away, and that is going to be Curb and his signature champion. Last time he played this, he went absolutely astronomic on him. And all right, he's going to be playing into Fury. We'll see if he can do it again.
Yeah, so I think this one is interesting. I feel like Singularity had the edge for the most part, just because the Varus and the Ziggs are so long range. It's very difficult for Chrisberg and Ericsson to even get close. Syndra in particular is very vulnerable to poke. She's just kind of like a sitting duck who you can just target repeatedly. And so they're forced to engage to find a fight. Roam's a great answer into that. That being said, they now have that alternative win condition in the Nasus, but Singularity have answered with the Fiora, who can kind of go toe-to-toe with them late in the game. And because of the dynamic of this team fight, I don't think Nasus is going to be that great in team fights here unless he can just, TP into the backlines. So I kind of feel like Singularity have the edge here, but that there's still that wild card of the dog in the top lane.
I love the way you put that. I just think, honestly, you unleash the hounds, and that's that. And Kerberos, if anyone can do it, it's going to be Curb. I am worried about the low range from the rest of his team, with especially like Kalista and Syndra into Varus and Ziggs. It does sound kind of hard to navigate as this game goes on.
It could be a little bit worrying, but two people you don't have to be worried about are our casters for today, Hiprain and Jamada. Take it away.
You might have to be a little bit worried.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
And welcome to the caster desk. I'm Hiprain, he's Jamada. We're getting ready to go into our first of this best of threes we got coming up today, two of which, but the first one is going to be Nordavind taking on Singularity. This is almost like a kind of UK display of some of the players here at the NLC. There's a lot of UK names, the likes of Kerberos, the likes of Nolty, Dragdar, Prosper. It's going to be a pretty good game. I'm really excited for this one. And Kerberos getting his hands on the Nasus into Wazor on the Fiora. Top lane is going to be very, very explosive.
Yes, it is going to be a very interesting one. I don't even know how to gauge this, because typically Fiora kind of outscales almost everything on the side lane. And my best guess would be she's going to do the same thing with Nasus. But is there some kind of stacking breaking point, right? Will Sharp or Naughty come up to the top side and influence this lane when they've got such what I'm imagining will be a volatile bot lane? Whenever Kalista's in the game, it tends to be like that. So I'm very interested to see what the early game plans are for both of these teams. Because, realistically, if you're Nordavind, you wouldn't mind Kerberos getting a little bit ahead, but at the same time, you pick this pick so you can focus around the Kalista. And if you're SNG, you certainly want that sort of side lane win condition of the Fiora getting a little further ahead of the Nasus, so that you can actually have all of this wave clear and poke to work with around the neutral objectives.
We're on to the Rift for our first of the two games, the two series we got coming up. And so far, Chrisberg actually hasn't bound his soul to touch. He was gone down, placed a ward, and then quickly gone back for the sweeper. So that was why they haven't used that yet. They wanted to be able to make that play as quick as possible.
Yeah, one thing, I'm not sure if you guys on stream can hear it. These guys are actually all chatting a lot, because they are, like Orc said on the desk, they are actually a lot of friendships across the board, a lot of former teammates, etc. And I guess it just kind of adds to the stakes and the tension of the game, as there you go, Jake Chrisberg has bound touch, so you don't have to be worried about that one anymore.
First kill of the game.
True, yeah. Where's Chrisberg's 400 gold and the first blood?
That'd be broken. Just a free 400 gold.
Exactly, right. So, junglers, both starting on blue buff. So, Sharp, very much going to kind of leave Kerberos by himself, at least, by the first jungle clear. And Noe, it looks like he will path up to the top side. And Wazor, thing to note, does have Ignite Teleport. So, looking for a little more lane threat would be my best guess, or just in general, having the Ignite to sort of cut through the Nasus inbuilt sustain, actually, in some of the all-ins can be very useful. And it means that if you're going for the all-ins on the Ignite timer, you don't really have to build any anti-healing. I don't know, my brain kind of froze. But yeah, don't need any anti-healing.
We had a finals yesterday on the
we did.
NLC. Your brain's a little scattered.
I'm still recovering from that. It was a fun finals. But yeah, Nordavind down in the bot side with the Kalista lane. Early priority, somewhat to be expected for now. And I'm really interested to see how this mid lane's going to go, because Syndra, I'm expecting to see a lot more of, because this buff is effectively a Reaver of a nerf from sometime last year, which pretty much pushed her out of the meta. So
yeah,
expect to see a lot more Syndra as the weeks go on. As one thing that didn't really get hit that much was her damage. In fact, if I recall correctly, and multiple times, it actually got buffed. So this Syndra, in theory, should be stronger than old meta Syndra, actually.
It should be. So I guess it's kind of a game state thing as well. Obviously, she suits the meta well, and her ability to be able to shove out waves fairly quickly and be able to help move over her jungler. We are seeing we've had a rise this split during the kind of AD mid laners. Take a quick peer up in the top side though as well, because Curb, first wave, he kind of gave up. He just let Wazel push in, and he's playing it nice and chill for the moment, trying to get those siphoning strikes all charged up. But wave is slowly working its way towards Wazel. So Wazel going to be pretty happy with this one, and Curb has to be very careful because his jungler on a reset. Curb on the receiving end, a Nulty coming in. They're looking for the slow. The ghost has been used. He doesn't have flash, so he is going down. First blood to Nulty.
Yeah, real nice from Nulty. Lands Sonic Wave. He knows Kerberos, no flash. Relatively easy target, just has to hit the mark. Does exactly that. Wazer as well. Real nice usage of the dash plus the riposte to confirm the slow. Even through the ghost, it means we'll set up Noi for that first blood. Now I'll be interested to see how exactly that's going to influence the top side, because it wasn't Wazel that actually got the first blood gold, did get the assist, but the wave is shoving into him. Noi, if he wanted to, could honestly stick around a little longer towards the top side, but getting that reset off, very, very important. As well as Sharp, having done his own clear, would be back on the top side with the Iron advantage, so could end up seeing a Nordavind favored 2v2. So gets the reset in, see him move towards the bottom side. And so far, Nordavind have held bottom side priority for a majority of the game so far. So I wonder if this is going to mean, especially with Curb dropping in the top side, we will see a little early focus on the Dragons. Because when you've got Kalista, especially as well when you've got Syndra in the mid lane, level 6 point, early stages where Kalista's very strong in the skirmishes, you really want to try and leverage a lot of that power.
Well, now the wave's going to shove into Wazel, and we're going to see Curb go for a reset. He did burn that teleport to get back to lane, so this is just him picking up what he can. Double Ruby Crystal, give himself a little bit more health to be able to sustain through the Wazel lane. Curious to see if we see an early Bramble Vest from him. I feel like that's probably a smart decision.
Yeah, wait, did he... Oh, so he reset. So he bought the Ruby Crystal and then he bought another one, but Kindle?
He died, bought a Ruby Crystal, reset after shoving a wave, bought a Ruby Crystal.
Huh, okay. Well, both the junglers here on the bottom side. Noi trying to guide a wave in, but Sharp's here as well.
Yeah, Touch comes in. They're looking to lock him down, but he's going to be taken out. Dragdar secures first blood, and Chrisberg, exhausted, has to jump away before this concussive strikes get any more. That was pretty close for Chrisberg, but losing his support. 2-0 start here to Singularity in this game. Nordavind honestly got their backs to the wall already.
Yeah, Noi striking first in the bottom side. And that's going to be pretty impactful, especially if they can find a way to starve this Dragon. Fury's actually resetting in the mid lane, however, so doesn't look like they're going to go for it right now. Noi trying to eye up a mid lane gank, potentially, but there's people around him behind Ericsson.
Does get hit by the Scatter of the Weak, takes a lot of damage as Sharp flashes forward to the Spectral Maw. Not going to connect it, though. A lot of damage onto Nulty, forces his flash out. So not going to see that insect when he hits level 6, and Ericsson's still able to hold his nerve and catch this wave before resetting. So now the Dragon, tempo is in favor of Nordavind for that one.
Yeah, should be. They've got the control of the area. Dragdar and Prosper both coming off reset. So area control fully theirs, and they know Noi walked off to the top side. Can, of course, return right now. That could be the worry. It's going to check in to the river with Prosper, and I think with that, and the fact that Ericsson also reset, it's now SNG that have the prior around the area, so it's just going to back off. But it seems like both these teams really do want to try and secure this first dragon. I think for Nordavind, it's about, trying to get the dragon stacking up. And for SNG, denying that time, or denying the dragon so that the early soul condition isn't a thing, can give your Fiora a little more time on the side lane here to scale up as, okay.
Oh, Wazor, he's thrown down a grand challenge, and Curb not having any of it. Pops the Fury of the stands as Wazor looks for that riposte to try and proc that last vital. Wasn't able to hit it, and Curb doesn't really want to lose too much health here. He wants to be able to sustain up and be able to pick up as much of this wave as possible. Currently at 96 stacks on those siphoning strikes. I'm not completely up to date on NASA's stacking and what would be considered a good number. It's been a while since I've seen him.
Yeah,
I know he was playing recently, but
he's doing good. He's doing fine.
Yeah, it's Curb. You expect that, right?
Yeah. Not only that, because they buffed the cannon, like the amount you get off stacking cannons and large monsters, etc. Numbers typically a little bit higher than they used to be. Bit of an invade here. SNG don't want to give over this blue buff to Nordavind. Steal it away. Nice stuff from Noi. Just a lot of freedom so far in this game from the SNG jungler.
I'm genuinely amazed that got stolen away when you have a Syndra as well, who can pick it up. But I think Fury was just doing a really good job of zoning Ericsson off, and Fury's already got his own blue buff, and Nulty gets Ericsson's one. So yeah, it's a pretty big denial on the mid laners. As chains have gone down, they're going to pull him in. Touch, not going to get thrown out quite yet. He's able to get himself to safety, but no re-engage here from the side of Nordavind.
Yeah, and I've got to say, at least by the bottom side stands of what you'd want from a Kalista lane. A 10 CS lead, nice, but the fact that Dragdar has the kill in return more than nullifies it. Probably Dragdar is sitting on a little more gold, 1-to-1. If I had to take a little guess. I mean, it's practically even, all right.
It's even. It's actually jungler where the difference is. The jungle difference is the big problem. Also, that 400 gold lead for Wazor on the Fiora. You kind of expect that as the Nasus in this particular matchup. But like you said, Fiora realistically should be outscaling here. It's going to be about what Curb's going to be able to do if, he's left on his lonesome, because he will make short work of towers.
Yeah. Now, I will say, I don't exactly know if there's any specific item breakpoints in this topside matchup, because Nasus does kind of sneak up on you sometimes, especially once that first item comes in. He will deal a lot of damage, and if you don't have the anti-healing there, in this case, obviously, Wazor has the Ignite, so that's what he's working with. He can kind of run you down, and you might not have enough damage or healing to return if you are Wazor at specific iron breakpoints. So we'll have to keep our eyes on the side lane as it progresses. But like I said, typically Fiora will outscale most side laners in the game. This is obviously what Wazor has picked this in mind of. So whilst we were talking about that, Nordavind did pick up their dragon. So Infernal is the first one, and we won't get a soul of that, and we won't get a mountain soul either. So ocean or cloud. And I did see on Twitter, and I can't remember the numbers or what region it was specifically, but I think it was either major regions or just specifically NA. There's been a lot of cloud souls this year or this season. Not sure if you ended up seeing that, Fred, Jake, but
I did not see that, Fred.
It seems like mathematically there is just like nearly double a cloud, like the chance to get a cloud soul than almost anything else.
I mean, look outside, mate. It's cloudy as hell at the moment. That's what it is.
Is it? I mean, it feels warm.
It's warm, but it's cloudy.
Okay. This is maybe grounds for Wazor once he gets his riposte back up to maybe look for an all-in there. But speaking of all-ins, bottom side potentially.
Oh, Chris Berg's been caught. He does have that flash, and he's going to have to throw it down. The insect comes in from Nulty. They throw everything down, and Sharp flashes away. The Mega Inferno Bomb hits no one, but the hook does connect onto Nulty as Curb comes in with the Fury of the Sand and the Wither onto Dragdar as Touch is thrown forward, and Chris Berg secures the kill. Now looking for the Scat of the Week on to Fury as the hook connects onto Nulty as well. They can get the concussive blows up for the moment as Nulty will lose his life. Nordavind coming out with the team fight victory there.
Yeah, Nordavind come out big because Kerberos had the teleport advantage over Wazor, so Nub's advantage firmly in their favor. Actually bring down all 5 members to the bottom side by the end of the play. Wazor will get a couple of plates in return, got demolished as well, so he's going to tear through this tower quite quickly. But he's actually out of mana, so only going to get one more dash on that extra plate, have a replay of the fight, and it starts off with Chris Berg having to flash away defensively, but you take a look on the top side, the kick doesn't really get much done. Sharp kind of doesn't get bursted down, flashes out himself. The knock-up as well from Nordavind just buys a lot of time, and quite frankly, it scatters SNG a little bit too much. And then Nordavind, they're able to kind of just approach 5-on-3 effectively and run down the rest of the members. The CC is good. Touch.
Beautiful.
Finds the hook, but unfortunately gets it turned on around back onto him, but flashes back into his team to bring Noi towards the rest of the Nordavind members. So decent fight overall for Nordavind. Some of the gold was traded back on the top side, but they do find the fight they were looking for through that teleport.
See, Lucidity Boots now finished up for Curb on this Nasus, so wanting to be able to obviously use that Ghost and TP as much as possible, but also just the ability to stack up those opening strikes. And if he's left alone on the tower, remember when that Fury of the Sands is on, the cooldown is super low as they catch everything out on to Fury, but the Unbreakable will be thrown down, and Touch, he's sleeping with the fishes.
That's a nice line, Jake. I like that. That was a good one.
Thematic, as some might say.
Yeah, so right there, some of the defensive power coming out of the SNG composition. Braum, Lee Sin, a lot of shielding, and quite literal physical shielding as well. From the Braum, it means that Ericsson can't pull the trigger on the ultimate either, because the Braum shield will just block all of the orbs. One of the additional values of locking in the Braum when they see the Syndra, they understand Nordavind will lock in an aggressive support, so they're likely going to get a positive matchup there. And it means that Ericsson isn't always going to be able to get those nice ultimates off as...
Wait, Curb, Fury of the Sands is pulling in towards the team. Wazel's actually taking a fair amount of damage. They go in for the Spectral Maw. Great riposte by Wazel. Means he ain't getting stunned today. Kick connects by Nolty, but he's not going to chase anything else.
Yeah, life-saving riposte, but I think Nordavind should still be able to... Oh, wait, no, Herald used the mid lane. I don't know why I thought it was up. SNG actually traded out in the mid lane. Fury off the back of the Herald. There you go. Uses the satchel, picks out the tower, and on the bottom side you can see Chrisberg. He's being forced off a little bit of CS. And Dragdar Prospect should just about be able to secure this second plate off this tower, and will be the final plate of the game as he took over for 14 minutes.
My concern right now for Nordavind is the range.
Yeah,
Kalista, very low range AD carry. Syndra, technically the longest range, but not the longest range mage realistically. When you're playing into Varus, poke Varus, and the Ziggs, it's gonna be a range problem. And these objectives, while Nordavind are able to get, Singularity sleeping a little bit on this one and pick up their second dragon, when Singularity decide they want to start fighting in the side lanes, well, in the pits and in the river, it's going to be really hard for Nordavind to be able to find themselves an approach without creative flanking. And, I don't think you want a flanking Nasus, so it's going to be on Sharp to really be that flanker for the team.
Yeah, I mean, right now, SNG actually up in gold by several thousand, 3,000 gold lead. So by the time you're around to this third dragon, this ocean dragon, I would imagine SNG will try and actually more heavily contest it, assuming they keep the gold lead consistent for themselves. Right now, as you can see by inventory, a little bit ahead in some areas in the item department. Wazel, though, pretty low up here, so he's got to be careful. But I don't think Curb's necessarily thinking about an all-in anytime soon. He's actually nearly at 300 stacks at 15 minutes.
He's pretty strong. He's a pretty strong dog.
And this is what I was talking about, right? So, sometimes the item breakpoints might not matter in this topside matchup if Kerberos gets enough stacks. And especially if you're talking about he picks up the Divine Sunderer on the next couple of bases, even if Wazel finishes up his Mythic right now, which looks to be the Divine Sunderer as well, I don't know how much it matters entirely. We'll have to see. Like I said, I haven't seen this matchup in a very long time, not alone competitive play. So
yeah,
it's just something that we're going to have to continually watch and sort of just gauge as the game progresses. But I think more importantly, what's going on the rest of the map is going to tell almost as important a story as Nordavind. Trying to just gain some control around here. Looks like they're not really interested in taking up the Herald, so I'm expecting a cross map onto Dragdar. And the ping's already coming out, and Dragdar looks like he's fully aware.
Yeah, he's going to back off to safety.
Yeah. And it's a nice read from him. So Kerberos expect to see the same thing. Actually, Wazel picks up the tower. Just because it was chunked out earlier on from that teleport. So Noe, if he wants, with that Herald, he can maybe just chuck it top. Get a rotation from Fury into the top side as well, if they want to continue to split the map. Very temporarily, but I think giving Nordavind maybe that inner tier 2 wouldn't be the wisest of ideas. So going to just see a reset. And Nordavind will likely have to back off within the next 20 or 30 seconds.
Shoving the wave in all the way to the tier 2. I don't think they're going to hang around anymore.
No.
Answer's already here from Dragdar and Prosper to make sure that this ain't going down. Gold lead, though, very happily in the favor of Singularity. But with those 2 dragons in the pocket of Nordavind, you do have to worry about potentially early soul for the side of Nordavind. And that's going to probably be the biggest problem for them. So they're going to have to try and think about contesting that. You got the Luden's Echo. You got the buildings of the Archangels as well for Fury. So they're in a pretty good spot to be able to kind of set up for some of this poke. And because it's that Ocean Soul and not something like an Infernal, the zone control is going to be very effective from the Ziggs and the Varus. It's going to be very hard to move through these small chokeholds into the river. So it's on Nordavind to make sure that they can kind of set up for these objectives. That's what we need to keep our eyes on for. You know, how good is the warding at that dragon? It's not really been set up yet, but we are a little early for them to start setting up the vision. But you can already see Singularity starting to move their bot lane into this mid side and looking just to contest the priority here. Does look like with the fact that Wazor doesn't have teleport and Fury having teleport, they've actually rotated Fury into the top side.
Yeah, this is a tad risky, I think, because if Fury does misstep, though I doubt he will, just going to say Curb will probably run him down. But
oh, yeah.
Fury, a little smarter than that. You can already see he's just hugging his tower. He knows. He doesn't have to deal with it. He sees Nasus now, starts to move around. But we'll just be up there. And like you say, Wazor on the bottom side, no teleport, just to make sure he is closer to the objective. If something does kick off, teleport can come in from Fury in a more defensive position, likely, to join his team. Nordavind, though, have picked up a lot of the mythics across the board. So they are kind of matching right now in overall strength. And if you're talking about, you know, who should win in a fight right now, you would probably be edging Nordavind like on champion strength, etc. But if some of these SNG members are able to get a base off, finish off their second items, etc., like Fury just has, then we could see a different outcome. And it's SNG right now that have the control or the priority on the mid lane to maybe get an early move down here towards Ericsson, actually, who's a little bit isolated. They could try and make this dive work if they want to be honest with you.
He does still have the teleport from Kerberos, but everybody's moving down. They spotted them out on the wards, and I think that's enough for Ericsson just to step away, give that one up. Doesn't want to bother contesting that one, and that's going to be the end of the tower. Yep. Wazor picks it up. Kerberos on the other side. He's just stacking, but actually looking to jump in onto Wazor. The Unleashed Power is going to hit, but he's not going down. Nutty with a beautiful kick. Touch is chosen as he throws out the depth charge, and Kerb is standing in the middle of everyone. He's got the Ghost on, he's got the Wither, and he is running people down. Prosper with the stopwatch as he can get the reset on that Ghost with this kill. And maybe the chase can carry on as the hook goes through the goalposts, and that is going to be the end of Touch as the chains look to spread, and Nordavind had to back away. Singularity take the team fight, and they're going to be able to pick up the dragon as well.
Yeah, it's kind of what we expected at this third dragon. Nordavind, they held the gold lead, or rather SNG held the gold lead, able to win out on this fight. But Curb, the rest of Nordavind, they're not done. They want to try and contest this, or at the very least try and pick something off the back of the dragon. But it goes down, and they're going to have to kind of just walk away from it.
Very, very close. Very close team fight, but at the end of the day, I think that Chain of Corruption was probably the breaking factor for Nordavind because they had to move away. We'll see it in the replay.
Yeah, exactly. Like you say, so it does start off with the bottom side. SNG, they had priority, but the teleport comes down super early, as you see at the top of the screen. They're able to burst down Sharp. Sharp goes down. No, he doesn't go in on the Sonic Wave, but you can see Kerberos, flank angle, doesn't actually manage to find lethal on anybody, though, and it's actually Prospect on the front line, kind of tanking up, buying a lot of time. And then, like you say, Dragdar eventually comes down from the mid lane. Chains of Corruption kind of works as a bit of a disengage here. Kerberos and Chris Burke have to walk away. Even, I think, Ericsson caught over the wall by the spread, which means that everybody has to disengage. And they're able to pick up Touch for free, turn that into a dragon. And now there is no 4-dragon win condition for Nordavind anymore. Still 2 dragons away. And expect to see them try and just stalemate this game out. Allow Wazor to play out the side lane. Have all the wave clear in the world to just try and keep Nordavind at bay. I don't know if this Herald's going to be able to charge. Eyes open. Curb can probably walk behind it.
He can get it 1 Q.
No, he's here. Oh my god.
He pops the Fury of the Sand. He gets kicked back, and they're just chasing him down. Wazor secures the kill, and that's a large wave also getting healed by the Grand Challenge. Ericsson comes in and instantly clears it out, looking for the eye. Can't quite pop it in time, but the tower will stand at the end of the day. Yeah, Curb got stuck on the minions, I think. He just couldn't get to the eye.
Yeah, I think he also, if he was A-clicking or something like that, I think he actually just queued Wazor, just normally. So a little bit unlucky there, but good thing for SNG. They do get the Herald to find the charge, And Weasel dealt so much damage to Kerberos. Not a whole bunch of armor, mostly health in Kerberos's inventory right now. I want to say he just picked up the Bramble Vest now.
He bought it
could have.
No, he had it.
He could have had it on that. Yeah, he could have had it on that fight as well.
Their anti-heal for that fight.
Yeah, but you have to remember, of course, the Fiora passive, it works off of total HP. So a lot of true damage coming through from, you know, Giant's Belt, plus the Divine Thunder, a lot of bonus HP, plus the ultimate as well. Weasel kind of like sort of 100 to 40 them in 3 procs of the passive. A lot of damage came through, and of course, Noik helped and finished it off.
Felt like Weasel was prepared for this Nasus pick.
Yes.
Had an answer ready to go, and so far, Cubs not actually been able to do too much here on this Nasus. Obviously, we are only 22 minutes in. Can we get a quick stack check to see how he's at on that front?
Yeah.
Curious to see how many stacks Cubs got. He's got 513 stacks right now, so that's pretty good going.
Yeah.
But he's kind of always just being outnumbered whenever he goes for a fight.
Yeah, exactly. Those numbers aren't terrible at all, by any means. In fact, I would actually say pretty good at this time.
Hello.
Good.
Erickson's dead.
That's not great. Weasel, so looking on the side lane, 300 gold plus this tower, that's going to be an additional 600.
Are we going to get some Hullbreaker gaming this game?
I don't think we're going to see Hullbreaker. It did get buffed on this patch, actually. Remember, we're on 11:15.
Yeah. I mean, it's 2 champions. I think if there's 2 champions that use Hullbreaker best, it's these 2, right? Both want to be split pushing. The Fury of the Sands comes down, and oh my lord! That's a 513 stack queue if ever I've seen one. And Weasel continue to be chased down. The anti-healing is big, and Curb drops the hammer. A shutdown kill for him. Okay, turns out a champion's kind of busted.
So, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say, I don't actually know who would win the 1v1 because Weasel didn't have the Grand Challenge or the Ignite. But what I will say is Curb does a lot of bloody damage.
He does a lot of damage.
Yeah. So hopefully we get to see that 1v1 on the side lane because it will be fun. And we all know, anybody who's played any amount of League of Legends, you've seen the horror stories of a Fed Fiora or a Fed Nasus on the side. We know what happens to bases quite quickly. But what happens when you put them on the same side of the map?
Well, he's got the Thorn Mail now finished up, so Max Grievous versus Weasel. Weasel has the Ravenous Hydra plus Divine Thunder plus passive.
So it's a lot of healing.
Oh, a bit of Grasp as well. He's got a lot of healing.
Yeah.
I'm curious if he has a Domination as his secondary tree as well.
No, I would imagine it's probably a Resolve for Curb, something like Second Wind and I don't.
So I'm talking Weasel, mate.
Oh, Weasel? Oh no, I mean
he's got Presence of Mind. Okay, yeah.
Definitely a very necessary rune. You can run out of mana in the long term, and it's why you see Miramar sometimes built as fight for the dragons, 10 seconds away, massive chunk onto Chrisberg. And I don't know if Nordavind can fight anymore with Chrisberg so chunked out and all the poke that can still come out from Fury and Dragdar. Looks like they're going to try their best to stick their noses into this, but Dragon can get burst down quickly.
They find themselves the herd. Crossfair's been scattered. Look at the damage coming down. The Heartbreaker was thrown, but they're unable to kill Sharp. Sharp's getting himself chased onto by Weasel, and the Grand Challenge healing is just too much. Nolte looks at Ericsson. Ericsson gets the scat of the week off, and he is out of there as the Force of Will find the slow, but Fury comes in for the Space Jump. Can't quite hit it, and Fury, he is tragically sad at the end of that one.
He went for the Kobe. You know what? I can respect it.
He went for the Kobe.
Because he very easily, I think he could have actually just satchelled Ericsson, but he wanted the style point. And you know what? You miss every shot you don't take, especially when you're trying to make it stylish. SNG, however, off the back of that, they will lose this dragon because Chrisberg's come back down here. Oh, Weasel.
Oh, will they?
Oh, no.
You're gonna have to.
I don't think he can execute it. I don't think he can execute it just yet. Now he can.
He can. He's out.
Got enough autos on the back end. As Weasel approach, still, I believe, wasn't quite able to, but once you get to about that 1k threshold, Rend enough to execute, but it's SNG that pick up the Baron.
Let's have a look at the fight. Let's have a look at the fight once again, because Curb is scary for a moment. I thought he could run away with this fight.
Yeah, but I think crucially, all of the damage that Nordavind are putting in, they're never able to find lethal, and Sharp also isn't able to get reset. Chrisberg, he doesn't really get to auto or do much in this fight in comparison to Dragdar, who's, chucking out Chains of Corruptions, Hail of Arrows, all of the piercing arrows as well.
Now, one thing to note is Nordavind are one dragon away from that Ocean Soul, and when you've got that Ocean Soul, the team fighting, this extended team fighting like that becomes that little bit harder. Now, there is Grievous already built up the Morellos, and that Execution is calling on Wazor.
Ooh.
But, wow, Wazor's doing some damage to towers. Obviously, got the help of the minions, but even so, that is scary.
Yeah, very scary. And in the mid lane, Curb caught out a bit here.
A little bit. He loses most of his health bar. Has obviously got the sustain in his kit, but this inhibitor will just be falling down. And
yeah, and that bomb side tower as well. That's Fury can probably satchel that from that HP. So I think that's, yeah, there you go. Marks on the screen. So 1 auto from anybody. Plus the satchel will deal with that bottom side tower. So mid lane inhib gone. Bottom side going to be sieged on now. There isn't a top wave for SNG to work with, but you can see Wazor basing. I expect him to teleport to the top side of the map. Get the pressure, up there as well. It's like he's just going to walk it. Something happens, teleport to his team instead.
Oh,
Ericsson. Slow burner, Ericsson.
Very, very low. And with that, Singularity should just be able to bully their way into the base and take their second inhibitor of this game. Like you said, no top wave at the moment. You can see that they have got Wazor making his way over.
Yeah.
And it's actually a fairly large wave with the Baron buff. This could be enough just to crack another one.
Yeah, exactly. And they've still got 50 seconds of their Baron. So I think with the range, honestly, and the damage they can deal to towers, they might just about have enough time with that big wave if they all beeline it up there.
Remember, they don't need to 100 to 0 this tower. They just need Fury to be able to do something.
70%.
Yeah. It's going to take a lot of damage from Chrisberg, who's poking away, and that might just be enough to hold this tower. So, could have been worse for Nordavind. It could have been much worse, but it's not particularly great either.
No, certainly not. And these inhibitors will be eclipsing the time that this Ocean Dragon spawns up, which is their soul. So they're going to have to sort out these waves one way or another. Likely won't have the mid lane sorted out. That will definitely push in after a wave or two. And SNG realistically can just play time in front of that dragon. Wait for the inhibs, or just, I mean, honestly, bring Nordavind into a fight. You're 10,000 gold up almost. Either option, pretty good.
I feel like if you're Nordavind right now, you just farm. You got two waves that are going to be constantly pushing into you. You've only given up one dragon. There is no soul win condition for a very long time for Singularity. Get your team a little bit stronger so they can handle that. Curb, 2.5 items on the Nasus, and Tiamat Nasus. Didn't think about that one, but pretty nasty.
Looks like he's going towards what I would imagine is a Titanic Hydra.
Yeah, I'd assume so.
But at least to me, it's building more HP for Fiora to kind of shred through you. And hey, Wazor does have the Hullbreaker. Yeah,
we are Hullbreaker gaming right now.
Yeah. All right. I don't think I've actually seen a Hullbreaker built in competitive play until right now.
I'm pretty sure this is my first Hullbreaker. Level 17 as well.
Topside.
He's on his lonesome, doing so much damage to Chrisberg. The shield is popped, but the bomb comes down and chunks Chrisberg out. He's able to survive, and oh my lord, sharpest chunk. Ericsson has to stop watch, but the bombs are coming down. He flashes away to safety. And with that, both of the carries have lost their flashes. And Curb standing in the middle of everyone.
Oh, no.
He is just taken out. It's some sad boy hours for Kerberos, and Singularity quite happily going to be able to take their third inhibitor of this game. They've got a wave to work with. They've got the damage to work with as well. Although the wave clear is there from Ericsson, but the first tower will crumble to the siege from Singularity as Wazor takes his Hullbreaker into the bot side, looks to push in the wave, but the fight looks to break out. Can Chrisberg make this damage happen? Looking for that knock-up, but Chrisberg, his damage just isn't stacking up high enough. He can't do enough. He can't get enough red stacks, and one arrow completely removes him from the fight. The Nexus has been left open, and with the death of the final carry, it's the death of the Nexus to follow. Singularity take game 1 of this best of 3.
Yeah, and that was a very convincing win. SNG came in prepared and ready for the Kerberos Nasus pick too. Honestly, just great stuff all around, and I feel like from the side of Nordavind, just weren't able to execute quite enough on the Kalista lane. I think you really have to do a lot to, you know, get this Syndra ahead, and then also, as at the same time, get this Kalista roll in. And I think SNG kind of denied that quite a bit. They were able and willing to make plays, and even though they had that one play go around on the bottom side where Nordavind actually brought all 5 members to the bottom side, it didn't really matter, because even by the end of that play, they were still up in gold. And by that third dragon, they were like 3,000 gold up. And it's the way SNG used to play in spring as well. They'll play for the third dragon, accrue a gold lead, and then play off that gold lead. And that's exactly what we saw here today.
I think the thing to take in is, you know, they picked that Nasus. If it worked, it would have been banned for the rest of the series, and you basically give the opponent a loss of a ban almost. It didn't work. Wazor and the rest of Singularity had an answer prepared for that Nasus in the Fiora. So now it's on Nordavind. They have to adapt going into game number 2 because they can't play the same thing again. And like it was hit on the desk, if they lose this, they're out. That is it. This is the lower bracket. There is no recovery from here. Anyway, it's time for us to throw to a break. When we're back, we'll have the analyst desk to talk a little bit more about that game 1. So we'll see you in a moment.